Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom Kunti from China, back for another Eurovision reaction video. Today I'm going to be discussing the results of semi-final number 2 of Eurovision 2022. I'm going to talk about the 10 who qualified and the 8 who didn't. So let's kiki. As always, you can use the time bar if you want to skip to one of the particular songs I'm going to speak about. There will also be timestamps in the description as well. I'm going to go through all of the 10 qualifiers in the order that were called out. First of all, big thank you to everyone who came and joined me on my live stream last night. It was really fun. And we had much better luck today in fighting away the sex bots. For some reason, there's lots of porn sex bots come into the channel after the show is done. I don't know why they specifically come then. I think they think that we're going to bed and that we want some pornographic websites. Anyway, we managed to fight them away. I thought the semi-final was really entertaining. We knew going into it that there were going to be some surprises, and there were. I am not going to go too much into the running order. I'm going to do a separate video for the running order. I'm also going to do a separate video called Who Will Win Eurovision. So I'm not going to talk too much about the potential winners. Those videos are separate. If you have any other particular videos that you want to see between now and then, I do have some free time, so let me know if there's anything else that you want to see. Okay, so first called was Belgium. Now, I've seen this is the one that's actually caused the most consternation in the fandom, particularly on Twitter, because it doesn't tend to have that many fans. I think this is a very legitimate qualification. There is definitely this pattern now that they are calling out the kind of maybe ones that got through a little bit more in the jury. We saw that Switzerland were called first in the first semi-final. This was called first as well. They definitely don't want to put shocking qualifiers at the end because they don't want people feeling with a tone of like confusion or like what the hell happened. They definitely want to put a favorite at the end. So I've noticed that they do tend to get the ones that are a little bit less popular out of the way first. I think this is very justified. He's come with a sound that's very different and unique from anybody else. Nobody else is really serving this. Justin Timberlake, kind of R&B tinged. It's also got a Bond start to the song as well. It's just got a different feel and flavor, and I think it stands out for that reason. Plus, he was 16th in the running order. That's definitely going to help. With the televote, I think he already would have done well with the jury because they'll appreciate that this is kind of a little bit unique. One of the things the jury are told to look out for is originality. I wouldn't say this is original, but I would say that it stands out for being different from other songs. This puts Belgium on a 2 qualification streak, and they've qualified 5 of the last 7 times. So Belgium a little bit back on track. They were really strong for those 3 years between 2015 and 2017. I think they had 2 top 10 finishes then. They went on a little blip, but now they're back in it with 2 qualifications in a row. Okay, second called was Czechia. I was really happy about this. I think a lot of people were concerned just off the fact that Austria had gone out, and they're feeling that this had a lot of similarities with it. Again, I think this was, first of all, last, which definitely helped it. I think it looked better than Austria's did. It had a slicker production, that real expensive feel, cool looking visuals, very put together, more complete package. Plus Dominika, even if her vocals were a little bit iffy, she still had that confidence and that performance quality that unfortunately Pia Maria wasn't able to bring. I'm really happy with this. One thing I will say is Czechia have been really unlucky with the draw order. They've been drawn first. That was something that I thought was going to happen because the producers really needed an upbeat song to start the show with. But Czech Republic were second in the running order in 2016 with I Stand. And they were third in the running order with Friend of a Friend, which was very unfair because they came third in that semi, so they should have been given a better slot. And actually that really killed their televote. I think they got like 10 points or something in the televote. So yeah, a little bit unfair in Czechia that they have to open again. But this is 4 out of the last 6 for them, so they really do have a great qualification record. I love this like very unusual, different feel that they tend to bring. I feel like they're really kind of got their own niche, but not one niche. It's like they come with something that feels quite fresh. I really like Czechia since they've come back. Really fantastic. Okay, third called was Azerbaijan. Now this is something that I've been harking on for the whole time. Really, Azerbaijan has that really good qualification record. They've only non-qualified once. It's for a reason. They put a lot of money behind their entries in the songwriting, in coming up with the concept. They always have a really good artist as well. I think that they really get drama, and this song really was, it felt natural to put a very dramatic staging on it. I have to admit now, his rendition of this in that show was the worst run through that he's done. In the rehearsals, he's been perfect every single time. Not only did his vocal sound a little bit off at the start, and especially on the last note, I think he was a little bit nervous. But on top of that, it looked like they missed the light show that was meant to happen. Actually, the photos that we all saw after the first rehearsal, those big bright white lights behind him and the dancer, they just didn't come on or something. It was really, really strange. So I was genuinely concerned for this after that. But keep in mind, the televote voted on the show last night, but the jury voted on the performance that he did on Wednesday night. So presumably everything went well on Wednesday night and he got a good jury vote, and that's why it would have gone through. Azerbaijan keep their almost perfect qualification record. Like I said, they've only non-qualified once. They're currently on a 3 qualification streak again. Azerbaijan and Armenia in the same final. Will they give each other points? No, they won't. They'll give each other 0 they'll put each other last in everything. Okay, 4th called was Poland. Again, I'm glad that they called this kind of early because I felt this was very obvious. Really, really great to see Poland not only qualifying easily, because usually when they qualify, it's like a little bit of a 8th, 9th, 10th. Let me check actually. Yeah, like when they have the last 4 times they qualified, they've been 6th, 8th, 8th, and 9th. So I think this would have been the top 5 of qualifications, which is great because it feels more often that they kind of scrape in, whereas this I think actually probably would have gotten quite easily. This is an improvement for Poland. I hope they can build some momentum off this. They've non-qualified 3 years in a row, so this actually breaks their streak of non-qualification, which is really great. I think the EBU likes this as well because Poland has, I think it's the biggest country in terms of population outside of the big 5. Someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. So yeah, EBU definitely wants success for them. It's great to see them mirroring that success that they have in Junior Eurovision, where they're really accomplished. They send great songs every year. Superhero, which is the song that won in 2019, is really, really great. Go check that out if you haven't heard it already. By Vicky Gabor, really great song. Okay, 5th called was Finland. Now, I have to admit, this was actually a song that I put out of my qualification predictions. I got 8 right in the end. I put Finland out, which was wrong, but I did guess Cyprus non-qualifying. In hindsight, I should have looked back to my very first reaction on this, which was very, very positive. I really enjoyed the song. When I did my UMK video, I actually put this second, and I remember downloading, actually listening to it quite a lot. So I think it's the fact so much time has passed, I kind of forgot about that first impact it had on me, that I really liked the tune, especially that ending. That ending's really impactful. I thought he was going to get marked down more for his vocals. His vocals weren't great. I thought that the jury would penalize him, but they either really liked the ending to the song, or they liked how different it was, or the televote put this through. But considering it was first, I think that this got a bigger jury score than a televote, but absolutely and utterly fair play to them. I'm happy that Finland have gone through because UMK was probably one of the best national finals this year, and if they had not qualified after having one of the best national finals, it would have felt a little bit wrong. Yeah, it just wouldn't have felt right. So I'm actually really happy this has gone through. I do like this. I don't want you to think I don't like it, but I thought that he was going to get penalized more for his vocals. I don't think those vocals are going to improve. I think that's just the package. But I'm rooting for Finland. I love Finland. What's their record now? This puts them on a 2 qualification streak with 2 rock songs. I think Finland really, really do very authentic pop rock. Blind Channel last year were great as well, who came 6th. 6th called was Australia. If you're watching my live stream, you would have seen I was very, very relieved by this. I have to admit, I am always a little bit anxious for Australia. I think there is still a couple of barriers to acceptance from certain people within Europe. Not everyone, obviously, but I think this is really, really deserving. His performance was very, very moving. I was very, very touched by this. In every single rehearsal I've seen, and a little bit more last night because I'd had a couple of beers, which definitely helped. I love the drama of this staging with the reveal. I didn't realize that Sasha Jean-Baptiste is actually the person behind the staging. She attended his press conference with him. She also does the staging for Marius Bear and attended his press conference with him as well. I'm not sure if she did the staging for any non-qualifiers or any of the big 5, but they're the only 2 I'm aware of this year. Please, if you know if she's done any more staging, was she involved in Sweden? But this is really, really great. It's a really beautiful, dramatic ballad, very, very personal to him. Definitely got a high jury score, rewarding these really incredible vocals. This was his best vocal performance that I've heard. It was even better than the rehearsals. I really couldn't pick out a single fault. In hindsight, I think he was saving himself for this, saving the best for last. He was really flawless. I don't think he can do the vocal any better than that. Really, really happy for Australia. 7th called was Estonia. Again, big relief for him. Nice to see that someone who's not a real Estonian can get through to the final. In case you don't know, Uka Savista implied that Stefan was not a real Estonian because possibly because he is part Armenian. Yeah, really happy for him. I think this is one of the best songs. I was slightly worried about this because of the slight staging issues that happen on with the sun and their inability to incorporate the dead sun into their LEDs, despite it being a desert landscape. But yeah, I think people enjoyed his energy. He did the jump. I was always really worried about those jump in all the rehearsals because I'm looking and I'm like, please don't get injured. He hit the notes at the end. I think the sepia tone, the sepia filter they put over gave this a different tone, and that whistling really stood out again. I think that if you look at the qualifiers, there's a lot of things that stood out for some particular reason, like Czechia because of its kind of club beat, Finland for being kind of pop rocky, Belgium obviously of course for its sound. So yeah, I think definitely a worthy qualifier. And they're going to be closing the final, which is a nice thing because the song is called Hope, so it's a nice note to finish on. Okay, 8th called was Sweden. Nice to see that she had a clean run through. There's been a lot of issues with the production of her lights not being turned on, people being in the wrong place, kind of messing up her staging a little bit. She had a very clean run through in this, which is nice. I'm glad that they called it 8th and not any later because I felt it was quite obvious. I don't want the final couple of spots to be called with someone who's very obvious, so I was glad they called this a little bit earlier. This has been drawn in the second half. I think that she needed that to be in a shot, to still be in a shot with winning. I think if this had been drawn first half, I think it would be completely over for her. I still think she's got a way if she wants to win. I'm not totally convinced this can win, but definitely her chances are still alive. By the way, Australia's qualification record, they are now 5 from 6 after non-qualifying last year. Estonia non-qualified last year, so they've got a new streak of 1. Sweden increased their streak to 9, which is the best streak apart from Ukraine. So Sweden are currently got the second best streak ever. The 9th code was Romania. Now I spoke about this death triangle of Romania, Israel and Ireland and how I wanted 3 to go through, preferably 2, and then worst case scenario I would take 1. In the end, this ended up being the 1. I have to admit I was a tiny bit surprised because I thought his and Michael Ben David's votes would kind of cancel each other out because they were very similar. Of those 3 performances, I probably felt this was like a tiny bit weaker, but he was a little bit right later in the running order. People obviously connected with this a little bit more. Fun, noughties, Latin feel. Really great for Romania. This breaks 3 non-qualification streaks, and they were really anxious about this last year when they non-qualified with Roxanne. They actually had a talk show where they sat down and said, okay, what do we need to do? So they really did take this seriously. I don't know if their national final really showed a massive improvement, but I think this is largely down to WRS. I think that he's really great. He seems very open-minded to criticism and making changes, and I get the impression this is more him rather than the Romanian broadcaster making big changes. But then again, if I'm wrong with that, please let me know in the comments, or if I'm misinterpreting that. Really happy for Romania though. This is the first time they've been in the final since 2017, so first time in 5 years. They've been rewarded with the death slot number 2. So welcome back to the final, Romania. And then finally, the last one called was Serbia. I did say on Twitter that I thought this was going to be last. It did make sense as the most dramatic one because there was always that element of, are people going to get this? Plus, we've had very poor results from the Balkans so far, so it made sense to kind of build up the tension. And on top of that, it's a fan favorite, and it's probably finished in the top 5, so it made sense to call it last. It still gave me a mini heart attack. I absolutely adore this. It's still my number 2, so I was so happy to see Construct in. On top of that, she's been given second half running order, so I really hope that this translates into a top 10. I really want this to reinvigorate the Balkans in terms of like maybe expanding what type of songs that they can send. This is really magical for me. It's one of my favorites. Obviously it's one of my favorites. It's my number 2. Serbia's qualification record is really great. They've never been outside the top 11. They have come 11th twice in the semi-finals, the 2 years they non-qualified. Sorry, 3 years they qualified. But this is now 4 qualifications in a row for them. I think that they do send really good quality. I think that qualification record is justified. They're similar to Poland though, in that when they do qualify, it's lower in the rankings. Recently they've been 7th, 8th and 9th when they've qualified. I think this is higher up, so it's good to see Serbia kind of not just scraping in, but I think possibly getting up into that top 5 of the semi. That is really good for them. Okay, so they're the 10 who qualified. I will go into more detail about their running order when I do my running order video. Let's talk about the 8 who unfortunately didn't make it. First of all, my home country, which is Ireland. Really, really sad for Brooke. I think she did an absolutely fantastic job. I think a lot of Irish people, myself included, I've seen a lot of people sending her messages on Twitter saying that they thought that she did really, really well. Let's be real though, this was always going to be a struggle. Coming into the semi-finals, she was bottom of the qualification odds. She was 18th. She managed to pick herself up as high as 12th and 11th. So she did a really fantastic job fighting. This song, keep in mind, it got almost no points in Euro Jury and OGAE, so it went in with this real underdog status. Nobody thought it was going to qualify. She absolutely and utterly brought this to life and really fought for it. So I think looking at this as just looking as a loss is a little bit, is not the way to approach it. She took what felt like a no-hoper and she really made a lot of people think that she was going to get through. I really hope that this came 11th. As sad as that would be, I also think it would be a real boost for, I think a lot of people thought this was going to come 18th before rehearsals started. Very, very proud of her. I think she's a real professional. Okay, let's probably talk about probably the biggest upset in the non-qualifiers, and that was Cyprus. This is something I predicted. I really do think they got the staging wrong. This staging just didn't work. It was very flat. It was going for this dreamy, ethereal, beautiful thing, but it just came across as tranquilizing and maybe a little bit indulgent. Nothing on Andromache. I thought she was brilliant. I think she's a really lovely girl. I've seen some interviews with her. But yeah, this staging just really, really, really missed the mark. It was too static. They should have been up and dancing. I would have loved some nice, bright, natural colors, not necessarily wearing togas or anything like that, but some like natural whites with greens or something like that. We've seen so little green in staging. Only France has green staging. I know Sweden has the green dot, but I wouldn't really call that green staging, to be honest. A little bit disappointed with their color palette. This is their 6th qualification streak over, which was the 3rd best qualification streak. They were 3rd in qualification streaks behind Ukraine and Sweden, but that's gone now. They're going to have to start from scratch. They still had a really, really great run. For a country as small as Cyprus to have a run of 6 qualifications is really, really spectacular. I'm interested to see, will they just say, okay, our good fortune had to come to an end at some point, or will they make some changes? Interesting to see with that next year. Okay, probably one of my biggest disappointments was San Marino. I thought Achille Lauro absolutely killed it. His show was so entertaining. I really thought this was going through. This was one of my qualification prediction changes from my first video to my after rehearsal video. Yeah, really sad about this. I just think that San Marino don't get any televote help. Like, they literally get no televote help. Could have gotten some this year if Italy had been in the semi, and I think that if Italy were voting in the semi, this would have gone through. I'm not sure at whose expense, but definitely San Marino just get no help. Obviously they have no diaspora, they have no like ethnic connections other than Italy, but even normally Italy doesn't give them televote points. They would have this year because Achille Lauro is so popular in Italy. So just a little bit unlucky at that. I thought the stage show was spectacular. I thought visually this was sensational and entertaining, and I'm really, really, really sad this isn't in the final. I thought it would have been so fun and different and vibrant. Okay, also sad about Georgia, but again, another one I think just really messed up the staging. It was too static. Also, sonically, I don't get why it was so repetitive. I thought that repetition was going to fit something that happened on stage, but in the end, it was just static on stage. I don't get it. I saw lots of people like this. I think that it could have qualified. This sound is really unique and different, but there were too many errors in judgment on how they performed on the stage, staying too static. The radio edit, again, should have had more ups and downs and mix-ups and whatnot. So yeah, a little bit disappointing that there seemed like some quite fundamental decisions went wrong here. Georgia's qualification record is pretty dismal. That is 5 non-qualifications in a row for Georgia. They really need to rethink their strategy and what they're doing. Their junior Eurovision entries are really, really put together, and they're always top 10 in junior Eurovision. I know it's easier to come top 10 in junior Eurovision, but still the whole thing just seems more put together. So I think that they really need to evaluate. I'm not sure what their system is, if they have different teams for adult and junior, but 5 non-qualifications in a row is enough means to sit down and say, what do we need to do? I don't know if they can blame it geographically, because Armenia and Azerbaijan, who are very close, obviously, both have really good record. I think 5 non-qualifications means they're on the worst streak. No, them and Latvia are joint worst with 5 in a row. Definitely 2 countries which need to sit down and come up with a new plan. Okay guys, another non-qualifier was Israel. Again, this is something I predicted based on the running order. I think he did an amazing show, really great performance, very vibrant. In the live stream that we did, people really were impressed by this. But again, it just came so early in the running order that it was going to be less fresh in people's mind. I think the jury members would have respected this and given it a decent score, but it needed that extra televote as well, and it was just too early. Yeah, he's quite a controversial chap. He definitely is quite extroverted. I think there were a lot of people were quite irritated by him going up to the presenters last night. His heart's in the right place, but he's not great at reading boundaries. By the way, that ends Israel's 5 qualification streaks, so 2 really big long qualification streaks coming to an end. It had to happen eventually. Okay, so our 6th country that didn't qualify was Malta. Yeah, again, I was a little bit disappointed in Malta this year. I felt they were making real progress with Michaela, and then both of Destiny's songs. It does feel like the slight step back. Obviously, Michaela and Destiny's first song were written by Borislav Milanov, who has since withdrawn. We don't know where he's gone, but he's kind of left the competition. I think that's the strategy they need to go for. I think their national final this year was a little bit hot and messy. I think that Malta's better strategy is going for finding a really good artist. They've got definitely good artists, like bloody hell, Emma Muscat's really talented. Destiny's brilliant as well. They don't have any lack of quality artists, but finding the song and making cool choices. I don't think Malta tends to make the best decisions sometimes in terms of dancing and lyrics. I think that's where they need a little bit of assistance. This breaks a 2 qualification streak for Malta. Okay, another non-qualifier is North Macedonia. Okay, really sad for her. I actually would have liked this to have gone through after that kind of controversy that she had with the broadcaster, where they berated her for flowing the flag, which I think was a little bit over the top. There was no malice in it. This is only 2 non-qualifications in a row, but this is 8 non-qualifications in the last 9 years for North Macedonia. So yeah, really demoralizing for them. Oh man, I really want them to pick up this record. I do have concerns that a country with such a poor qualification record, they've only qualified 2 times since 2008. It does make me worry. I hope they don't withdraw. Just continue to work and try and find what their niche is, what's their best strategy for getting through. And yet the goal for them is still, what did they do right in 2019 when they came 7th, and trying to reproduce that. Okay, and finally Montenegro. Again, great to have Montenegro back in the competition after they took a 1-year break. They are on a 5 non-qualification streak as well, so the same problem as Latvia and Georgia. But I think that this really showed an improvement over D-Mol. This is a really lovely song, beautiful Balkan ballad. Couple of small decisions that could have been changed to maybe improve its result, but generally this was just in a tough semi-final. She actually broke a streak that was in that semi-final where songs 13 to 18 all qualified apart from her. So yeah, she was definitely in a good place in the running order, but just didn't get enough votes there, it seemed, probably from the televote, I would guess. Okay guys, so those are the 10 countries that qualified and the 8 countries that unfortunately didn't. We've seen a couple of big long streaks broken, so definitely an eventful semi-final. Let me know how you did with your predictions. Did anyone get the magic 10? Please tell me if you did, and I will go find your comment in the last thread if you posted it, and I might leave you a little screenshot in my next video. Keep an eye out for my running order video, which I'm going to be filming very soon. Okay, and if you are available on Saturday and you want to come watch the live stream with me, I will be streaming from 9 p.m, maybe a little bit earlier. I'm going to see how I'm doing sleep-wise, but if I am able to get up a little bit earlier, I will start the stream, maybe have a little bit of a chat beforehand. No promises. I have to see how my sleep goes. And thank you so much for watching. I'm seeing another Eurovision Reactor video very soon. Goodbye.